about using what we have and getting other nations into that. And especially with NATO, with terrorism on the rise, NATO is a super integral part of defending our nation and every other democratic nation out there.
I would like to note that I forgot to unmute the mics on the stream, so the first question was unheard via stream, but it was heard in the stage chat. My apologies on that. Apollo, you're next. Same question.
Same question as, do you mind repeating it for me again?
Sure, yes. The question was, do you believe that America needs an international group like the UN or NATO to succeed on the world stage? You have a minute.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, we don't necessarily need them. We're a strong country. We have an active military. We have an active presence in the community here. We don't need them, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have them. As president, we're going to continue to be a strong presence on the international stage. I also, I have to sort of agree with the audience here. This question is kind of redundant to the first question asked before. We need our allies, but we're going to remain strong on the foreign stage.
Thanks for letting me know that question, according to some, is redundant. Trade NATO, you want to answer this question, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll answer it here. I mean, overall, I guess, do we need it? No, but for activity, I do think it's a great thing that we're a part of this UN and some other kind of world stage things. It's helping bring new activity to DC that we haven't seen. Like, DSS is probably one of our most active places right now, and having them take these state visits, that stuff wouldn't be happening as much if we weren't in this UN. So, do we need it? Probably not technically, but yeah, it really does help our activity levels. And obviously having this war right now is helping USM activity levels. So, I mean, overall, I do think it's a good thing we're in these groups. And, should there be another group that would help boost our activity, then yeah, I would be all for it. I mean, anything that can help keep our activity up overall is a good thing in my eyes.
Thank you for that. We've reached the end of topic 1, foreign policy. There's a couple more questions in here, but they're redundant based on what I've typed below. Our next topic is on Congress. This is going to be a very simple, straightforward questions on Congress. For one, how would you work with Congress to ensure your agenda is passed? Trade NATO, you have the first question. You have a minute.
Sure. I think this is kind of a brief one here. As PPT currently, I work with Congress weekly. I don't think it would be an issue working with Congress at all. I'm friends with a lot of my congressmen, and we all work together. There's a lot of group chats that we talk in when we discuss different policies and what's going on there. So, I mean, overall, I think I would just continue to work with them like I am now, and push the best results we can for the people.
Apollo?
I mean, yeah, sure. So, first and foremost, I won't remove my my opposition. Okay. So I'll work with Congress to actually talk about policies, not about petty differences or about power struggles. That's beneath me. That's not what my presidency will stand for. We're going to work with Congress. We'll make sure that we respect separation of powers. We're not going to oust them or remove them illegally. And under my presidency, we're gonna have stability with Congress.
All right, thank you. T, same question to you. 1 minute.
Okay, so you actually didn't answer the question there, but for a real answer, I'll tell you that we've worked with Congress immensely this term, and we have had arguments, but I think that that's healthy for the continuation of politics in this group and for the continuation of an active Congress. Before, Congress was dead and full of drones. They're just yes man people. And obviously, I like people to
They still are.
Yo, I'm speaking. You're not. Obviously, I like people to align with me politically, but I want to hear other opinions. And we finally have that now. We have a speaker who knows what he's doing, who I communicate with. We have a PPT who, although we hadn't been in Senate before, we're communicating and we have an open line between me, the vice president, and other pioneer leadership. And if you look at my legislative agenda, every single item has been completed except for one, which I no longer pursued because it's being taken by GMs. So I've completed legislative agenda. I know how to work with Congress. And the quality of Congress at this point is great. They do VC
T, your
sessions.
time is up.
Sorry.
Thank you. It actually reminds me of my next other question, actually, considering that you have the pioneers and the majority in both chambers of Congress. If let's say the forward party takes a majority in either chamber, how would you work with the opposition to ensure that your agenda goals are met and their agenda goals are also met?
Sorry, was that to me?
Yeah, to you.
Okay. I think that I can still work with any leadership or any different party. There's a few trolls, I'd say, in both parties where it's a bit annoying to try to communicate. But people who want to further the group, I want to hear them out and I want to spread that agenda. Like the convention, as many of you who were there saw, I didn't agree with everything that was being stated, but I had conversations with just about every single person in that convention, whether we had the same opinion or not. I want to hear how other people want to progress NUSA because in the end, that should be all of our goals.
Thank you. Apollo, you're next.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
The question would be, how would you work with the opposition party if elected?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I plan to work with them by hearing the voice. I mean, the opposition wants the voice heard at the end of the day. Removing them, silencing them, acting like they're not there is not going to help build this community up. It's simply not going to. And then under this presidency, we've seen a one-state party, okay, where your opinions aren't heard, okay, where your voices are not listened to. Under this kind of presidency, we've seen the instability and what the kind of chaos that creates. And as president, we're going to make sure that every voice is heard, that both sides, all sides are heard, especially as an independent president. Thank you.
Can I speak on that for a second?
Actually, I have a follow-up question to that response by Apollo. Speaker Arthur Chen just said that the House will, quote, never work with radical Apollo Corman on his disastrous plan to ruin our country. You have 30 seconds to respond to that.
Well, good thing Arthur Chen has no power, okay? If that's his attitude towards governing, if that's his attitude towards his community, then so be it. I don't really give a damn about what Arthur thinks he's going to try to do under my presidency, okay? Thank you.
But, you would need the House to work with you as part of that.
I would need his vote. I wouldn't need his vote, okay? I would need the House, absolutely. But Arthur has no power over the House. Those are independent free thinkers, okay? Arthur can threaten anything that he wishes to. We're going to get work done. And if he doesn't want to be a part of that, then that's his agenda. I don't give a damn.
Time's up on that. T, you wanted to respond? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, your answers are preposterous, and it shows that you're not active in this group whatsoever. Arthur is speaker. You cannot say that you're not going to work with the speaker. You can't say, yo, shut up. Shut up.
Your answers
you can't say that you don't want to work with his agenda. He sets the House agenda. You have to work with him.
He doesn't have to work with me, okay?
Oh my gosh, you don't have to talk. 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 It's my time. It's my time. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Okay,
goodbye.
both of you. Okay, could you shut up? I'm going to have to ask you to mute your mic. You have 15 seconds, but we got to move on after this. We have 15 seconds. Go.
And also, you're one to talk about power. How can you say that Arthur has no power? You're not even a sitting senator. You didn't even run for re-election as a senator. You couldn't take the time out of your day to pursue an office in Congress when you're trying to run for president. I rest my case.
John, I'm going to quickly mention for 5 seconds here.
You have 15 seconds, then we got to go to trade NATO.
Thank you. I didn't run for re-election because I was removed from office by your VP, okay? And you endorsed it by legally appointing senators behind us.
You were still in Congress.
This is a joke. When you listen on August 19th, when you removed us,
that's all you can bring up.
That's time.
I mean, yes, I didn't run again. I didn't.
That's time. That's time. Trade. I know we were kind of in a fuss here. You have a minute to respond to that previous question of what would you do to work with the opposition in Congress?
Sure. I kind of want to start this off with, I ran for Congress as an independent last term. This is my first time in Congress. I was elected to PPT. In a lot of meetings, I just don't really care what party you're from. I mean, it's not really about a party thing here, at least in my eyes. Obviously, there's some political stuff behind it, but in the end, it really is just, talking to everybody in DMs, coming together as a consensus on what's good for the people, and that's what we try to do. And, there are some people that don't have, America's best interest in mind, but as a whole, I think It's just talking with the people. It's not about parties. It's just about Congress as a whole coming together and just doing what it has done, which has been pushing what's best for the people. So I probably wouldn't be changing anything with what I'm currently doing, and that's really just reaching out to everybody and trying to understand people's different point of views, and then just going with what we all collectively think is best for the people.
Thank you very much for that response. Okay, we're going to move on to some legislative related questions. My first question on that is in regards to H.R. 5. First of all, how do you feel about H.R. 5, and should the DSS be eliminated, which I believe is the result of H.R. 5? Correct me if I'm wrong. That was written by Jake, and I don't know much about it. Apollo, you can go first.
Quick question, actually. Could you actually link me to HR5, please?
I am
want to.
tabbed
All right.
out at the moment.
Make,
Does
make
someone have
sure.
HR 5?
Yeah, I can pull it up for you.
Yes, please do. It's the federal
Or someone else,
government.
Raph put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's
The
the
biggest legislation right now is in the
it's the
chat.
federal government. What was it? The Federal Government Protection Act. In a nutshell, the U.S. Secret Service will be established as the principal federal protective agency under the Department of Homeland Security for protecting various people. Establishment of authority. It pretty much
Yeah.
talks about the Secret
Just-
Service. Forgive me if I don't
John,
know
can I mention
much.
something here?
Go ahead.
Just so it's clear. Apollo, what you should be looking for is under Sec 3. The Section C is what's being repealed. That's like the DSS thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready to respond?
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I just briefly look at this this bill right here. I'm not so from what I'm understanding, what I'm being told right now actually is that it's repealing DSS and making the U.S. Secret Service the primary protective agency, right? Essentially. No, I'm not for that. Absolutely not. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. No, I'm for DSS. I mean, that's the end of the discussion. I mean,
Okay. Thank you for that.
I'm
Trade.
I'm not.
I know Sheev. I believe he's part of the Forward Party, which is the people who nominated. I'm not sure. I think it's Sheev that's part of your Forward Party, right?
Yes.
He is.
Yeah. So, what do you feel about that? How do you feel about HR 5? And do you believe the DSS should be eliminated?
Yeah. I agree with Apollo here. There's no reason that DSS should be eliminated. Overall, the Forward Party does not support this. We've already discussed this internally. It will be voted down. Overall, it's just not something anybody supports besides Sheev maybe here. But I mean, obviously, this is not in the best interest of the people, so it will be something that I will be pushing to nay.
So you think that everyone in the Forward Party in the Forward Caucus will nay it in the House?
Everybody that I have talked to, yes, I have not had a single person tell me that they're going to be A-ing this, so I don't think it's going to pass.
All right, T, you got a minute?
All right. Well, it did actually pass the House by the Forward Party representatives. So I think that it's super concerning that they want to shut down an agency that has cooked so hard this term. And then if you read at the end there, Sheev is trying to give himself power within the bill, saying where he cannot be blacklisted from SS. That's crazy. Absolutely not. I would never, ever sign this. And I'm glad that the Senate caught this. The pioneer's letter to the American people expressing their disinterest in this bill was wonderful, and I'm glad to see it, and I agree with that. It's a crazy bill that I hope doesn't even make it to my desk.
All right, thank you for that. We are going to move on now to military policy, and my first question is a straightforward one. How do you feel about the current state of the military? NATO, you get to go first. You have a minute.
Overall, as a whole, I think it's pretty good. I mean, we've been actively deploying. We've been getting some pretty good amount of people into these defensive battles, I guess I'll call them. So as a whole, yeah, I would say USM is doing quite well. And I think in the future, this is an area that I'd hope to grow. I know we do have that kind of building in DC where they can kind of recruit. And I know that hasn't been a thing that's been happening for a while, at least that I've seen. So I think that could be something good that we push in the future to kind of have people get recruited in game there. But overall, yeah, I do think USM is in a good spot.
T-Soups, you have a minute. Go.
I also think USM has really turned themselves around. I mean, not that they were ever doing terribly, but they didn't trust NUSA. They didn't trust the executive branch and they didn't trust the commander in chief, which I would say after a battle, we've turned that around. We also, a big highlight of USM, at least in my opinion for this term, is the integration of the Coast Guard into USM further. Now we have Coast Guard attending JCS meetings, I attend JCS meetings, and it's been great to see them doing joint trainings with the rest of USM. We also, although I have my own opinions on BOG, it's out of my hands, but I've been able to work with them extremely well. And I've been keeping in touch with the military, which was something that made me a little bit nervous going into presidency, but I've got to build up with them.
Who's that?
Sorry, what?
Okay, candidates, please mute your mics when you're not speaking. Thank you very much. You have anything else to say? Because you got 10 seconds left.
No, that's okay.
Okay, Apollo, same question to you. How do you feel about the current state of the military? Go.
I mean, yeah, no, the military is looking great right now. I think, I understand, the reasoning, I suppose, behind BOG. I've had some opinions changed over, so I've had my opinions changed over, a couple weeks, just, listening to folks, asking for opinions from different sides. It looks, it looks like I disappeared on your screen.
Yes,
I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say, it appears like you disconnected. Please rejoin and let me
Yeah, I'm
know
gonna go ahead and reconnect. I'm sorry about that. I
when
didn't
you're
notice.
here so I can, yeah, you're already here. So let me just
Okay, that's why.
bring
That.
Apollo,
There we
R6,
go.
Apollo, and bada boom, bada boom, bada bam, we're done.
For sure, for sure. Just to finish up the answer, the military is doing great. I know Trey Noda mentioned it before. DC, we have a recruiting center that I haven't seen, being used much. I would love to use it again as under my presidency. And I think the current stability with military leadership is something to be appreciated. And so we're going to continue that.
Thank you. Our next question is on the Board of Governors. As you know, the Board of Governors has been controversial for a couple of weeks now, given the decision to move the Coast Guard under the Board of Governors following a nomination that was failed by the Senate. As president, do you believe that the Board of Governors should be eliminated? If so, how would you ensure that nominees are not failed in the Senate based on political vendettas? If not, how would you improve tensions between the White House, Congress, and the Board of Governors? T, you get a minute. Go.
Well, I had given my stance on the Board of Governors. Oh, please don't echo me. Okay.
Yeah, someone please.
I gave my stance on BOG like a few days ago, or about a week ago. And again, it's something that's out of my hands, but I have been able to work with them really well. And BOG is an easy solution. It provides super quick nominations and appointees for USM and for me. But all in all, it goes against our Constitution. It totally takes out legislative power. So I think with time, when we start trusting our legislative branch more, which is what we have been doing, then we can work to mix BOG and the legislative branch. And that would probably be the end goal for NUSA as well. Maybe it doesn't happen in my term, but I would like to see it happen at a later time. And I'd also like to point out that Alpha is the only nomination that has failed the Senate. So we got a little heated over that, but I've been able to work with the Senate, and my nominees now all submit letters to the Senate as well and go through an entire hearing process, which we didn't see hearings for about a year.
Your time has expired.
In the back.
Your time has expired. Apollo, you're next, I believe. Yeah, Apollo is next. Go ahead. Apollo, are you here?
He's looking up what BOG is.
You know what? Hold on. I'm here. Is that me echoing actually? No.
It was.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm sorry. I don't know quite know how to fix that.
Go ahead.
What was your question? One more time. I'm sorry.
Should the Board of Governors be eliminated? And apologize because my dog is probably about to bark and he's on my bed. Should the Board of Governors be eliminated? And if so, something. Go ahead. You have a minute. Go.
Yeah, no. Last week, if you asked me this question, I would have said that no, I don't think they should be eliminated. Absolutely not at all. But after talking with folks, hearing different ideas, I think the Board of Governors needs to be abolished. Actually, most certainly. But as T Soup said though, we can't trust Congress right now. We can't. They're petty sometimes. I think a temporary solution, this differs from T-Soups, is adding congressional representation onto the board. Essentially, that's what this is that, folks complain about how undemocratic it is. Well, let's add, Congress to the table. Let's
You let the
invite them.
dog go out. Darn it. I'm so sorry. Continue. I'm so sorry. That was my brother. He's in the room right now, and he let the dog get out. I'm so sorry. Continue.
You're good. But no, yes, I do want to abolish BOG. Most certainly, yes, I want to abolish BOG. But for now, as a temporary solution, let's add Congress to the table. Okay, we can't trust Congress all the way right now. Folks can be petty sometimes, but it is against our Constitution to have BOG to allow BOG that kind of power. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
How is it against the Constitution?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
How is it against the Constitution?
I thought John was asking the questions
Please,
here.
we
Thank
got to
you.
get a move on. There are a couple more
I'm
questions.
just wondering if you
Oh,
know.
John was asking the questions here. Thank you.
I'm literally wondering if you even know what you're talking about, if you're just repeating me, because that's what you've been doing this entire debate.
I just told you, John is asking the questions.
You
Let's
repeated
move on.
every
Thank you
single
very
answer
much,
of mine.
Let's that next question. She's yapping now. Yapping.
Okay.
Trade, you get a minute. Go.
Yes. I mean, if we could get rid of the board of governors completely, I would. Obviously, GM entity, not something that we can just remove that easily. It would be something we have to work with GMs for. But overall, I think that we need to be giving the power back to the senators. This nomination that had failed several times was a person that I believed should have passed. I eyed them every time I was able to be in game for those votes. Obviously, with anything in politics, there are times where people have vendettas against people, and I do understand why this board was introduced. But I think overall, for the role play of this game, the Senate should have the ability to approve these, and I don't think we should be taking that power away. But overall, I think we just need to, as people, vote in people that you think are going to represent your best interests. And if they aren't, then next time around you're going to have to vote somebody else in. So I do think it's on the people to try to pick the best people they can for it.
Thank you both. Before we move on to our next question, Chief Palpatine has a statement that he wanted me to read on air in regards to our the last question about the HR 5. Quote, while the tyrant T-Soups continues to sprout slanderous lies about myself, it has been my 4 years of experience within the Secret Service to craft this bill. Directors have to sometimes make decisions that are not popular that may cause them to be blacklisted by the administration after them. It is with that experience that clause was added to the bill. It is not self-serving. It is just plain common knowledge to tap the wealth of knowledge and experience that former directorates have. This president has used this bill as an excuse to demonize the opposition against her, even though her own House majority voted against it. T-Soup, since you were mentioned, you have 30 seconds to respond to that. Go.
I don't know what point he's trying to make there. I mean, this was Sheev's bill. It was a dictator bill, really, that just wanted to give him power. I've also been an SS, and I've worked with SS this entire term. They don't even like this bill either. And nobody wants DSS gone. So I don't know why you're even trying to defend this anymore. Yeah, that's literally it.
That is interesting. Thank you very much. Our last question on military policy is involving wars. As you know, we are currently in a war in the Middle East to defend. I'm not sure what it was about again. I think it was over a border killing. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I've been focusing more on school in recent days. So my question to you is, are wars necessary to keep the USM active? If so, why? And if not, how could you keep the military engaged and active in times of peace? Apollo, you get this question. Go.
Yeah, for sure. War is necessary. Yeah, most certainly to get activity with the military, but it shouldn't be a priority. It should not be a driving focus. Okay, having that kind of idea leads to a military industry complex. Okay, industrial complex. War is fun. War is what keeps the military active. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. But we have to also remember that diplomacy is always an option. And as commander in chief, we're going to make sure that we're going to exhaust every peaceful option, every peaceful solution that we can, up until the moment that yes, if we need to use the military, I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trade, you get this question next. You have a minute.
Sure. Personally, I am a big fan of war. I think that war is good. I think that while peace is an option, it shouldn't always be an option. I think as the United States, we need to show other nations that we are superior to them and that if they're going to challenge us like these terrorist groups, we are going to fuck them up, as to say. But is there other ways that we could incorporate USM kind of into DC more? It's a tough question activity wise because USM is more of kind of that first person shooter type aspect where DC isn't that way. So I think activity wise, yes, war is extremely necessary. We're not seeing USM at the same activity levels as we are right now, and that's because we have a conflict. And so I do think it is necessary, and I do think it is good for the people and for the US to be engaged in wars such as these.
T, you get a minute? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I brought us into this conflict right now, and I'd like to clarify that we're actually not at war right now. We have a authorization of forces, so this just shows another way how we get USM involved without being in an entire war. Because wars, they go through the UN, it's a headache, you have scorekeeping, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And I think deployments like we're doing now, where we take down terrorist groups in other nations, is a super nice way to get USM activity. And it's fun. It's a good morale boost. I've gone down to a res crossing myself because it's fun. You get to hold the border for a few hours. And USM also does joint trainings and just in-branch trainings outside of deployments. So as we've seen Coast Guard and Navy do stuff together, and I think Navy does a lot of trainings and stuff in their naval simulator games.
All right, thank you. Because we are at the bottom of the hour and I want to get this done by 8, we're going to shorten the response times to 30 seconds. Is that cool with y'all?
Yeah.
Sure.
For sure. No, I wanted this to be 40 minutes. So, yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. For that reason, we're going to do a lightning fast round before we get to the viewer submitted questions. Our fourth topic is on municipal affairs. How would you work with the municipal government to handle issues within DC, especially crime, such as organizations like Wall Street? You have 30 seconds to respond. Whoever wants to go, go.
Well, FBI already has set up a unit between FBI, USMS, and other DOJ agencies to take down Wall Street. And Wall Street does bring these guys activity. It gives them a reason to go in game. So we have that, and we also have joint activity between MPD. So I think municipal and federal relations in regards to law enforcement is still actively happening.
Apollo, go.
Oh, for sure. Sorry. What was the question again? I was totally lost in it now that yapping.
How would you work with the municipal government to handle issues within DC, especially crime from organizations such as Wall Street?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, Wall Street brings a lot of activity. I'm gonna let Wall Street build Wall Street. Honestly, that's my answer to that. Working with the city government, though, for sure. As I said before, I want to work with embassies. I want to work with further game development. I actually also want to bring private businesses too to DC. So that's just some of the key points there in my plans with working in the city government.
Trade, go.
Sure, this is a little tough to answer in 30 seconds, but I'll try to fit it in here. I think as a whole, kind of labeling Wall Street as like a terrorist group or terrorist organization that FBI has to tackle is kind of silly here. I mean, you're paying for Wall Street. I don't think it should just be like, oh, I'm paying for a terrorist team. I mean, the team itself, yes, it has good weaponry, but not everybody on it is just, committing crimes there. So I think it's kind of stupid to lump everybody into the same thing there. It's not like it's criminal underground, which I would say is kind of different. But as a whole, I think that FBI is doing good because it does kind of help bring up activity with fighting like this. But I think summing them up as kind of a bad group is bad here.
That's time. Okay. Is a municipal government necessary to handle the issues of DC? Trade, go.
Sure. Yeah, I would say it's necessary as of now. I mean, the way the Constitution is written, like obviously we do need them. I think that area needs to get a little bit more active. I know kind of looking at like our mayor currently, I feel like there's people that have been elected into offices that just aren't around anymore or active in game. So I do think that when we're considering candidates in the future, we do need to consider, who's active and who's actually going to be sticking around in game to make good changes for the people.
T, go.
I mean, I agree there. I also think. Hold on. I'm getting it. My mom is calling me.
Don't you hate when that happens? Apollo, you would like to respond while we wait?
Yeah, for sure. So absolutely, I believe it's necessary. It is one more barrier I had to say, as far as implementing federal policies that my government will want. But yeah, they're necessary. I wouldn't get rid of them. And they're there to to represent the local folks. Well, certainly.
Okay, cool. Thank you. T is not going to come back anytime soon, I think, because this question was to her.
Hello.
Are you back?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
The
Sorry about
question
that.
was, is a municipal government necessary to handle the issues of DC? Go.
Definitely. I also think that when we have DC3 on the way, municipal government is going to be at a larger focal point of the group, which is why I want to start maybe even giving stuff over to DC governments. They deserve it, and they deserve the chance to prove their activity, especially as we do transition over to a more realistic game. You need a municipal government and you need a federal government.
Cool. This question specifically for T-Soups, but all of y'all can happen as well. As you know, there was a bill that was signed, I believe, that gave the Department of Justice the sole authority to prosecute municipal crimes. Why did you sign that bill?
I think that the bill has been misconstrued and misconceived by a lot of people. It just brings realism to the game. This is how DC works in real life. It's not a state, and so when you prosecute for things like murder, it goes through the U.S. And we still have the DC AG prosecuting these cases under the U.S. name. It just switches the case to be U.S. That's really it.
Okay, would any of the other candidates like to respond to that? Anyone?
I don't think they know what the bill is.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna hold you. If you'd like to link me the bill, most certainly, I can definitely give
Dude,
also.
where have you been? HR 5 and this bill
I'm
have
a-
been
listen,
the hottest
I'm a
topic of
private
news.
citizen. I'm a private citizen. I don't listen. I'm a
Okay,
private
you're
citizen,
running for
okay?
president.
I am, and I can't look at every single bill. Most certainly, you're president right now. You should, most
Who
certainly.
texted me?
But
These have been the hottest topics.
if you like to link me the bill, we can go ahead.
Stop texting
Most
me.
certainly.
Do you know where the Congress Trello is?
Can you link me that, or are you just gonna keep asking me these dumb questions?
Do you not know where the
We
Congress
need to
Trello
move
is?
on so that we can get the viewer submitted questions as soon as
Wow.
possible. Unless y'all want to keep yapping. I have no problem with yapping
No.
too.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, we have several questions. This one says, quote, for Apollo, can you talk about how the great leadership of Hadil has influenced your campaign and policies, and how do you think we should respect their legacy moving in the future? I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what that question is. I mean, are you really gonna ask me that kind of question, or
it's a viewer submitted question.
okay, so to be honest with you, I don't really know what the question is talking about. I'm quite confused in that. The great leadership of Hadil.
You know who Hadil is?
I know who Hadil is, but I mean, is that a serious
You
question?
know who the mayor is right now?
I know who the mayor is.
I'm
right
talking
now,
about how the
Who is
mayoral
it?
tactics influence your policy. For example, are you going to war with the municipality?
No, I mean, I'm not. You should that should have been the answer, but I mean, no, I'm not. Why?
Okay, next question is also for you. Where is this stupid question? Critics of yours have suggested that prior to this election, you were extremely inactive and that you only show up for election season. What are your thoughts on that? Who said
I
that?
mean, yeah. Once again, these questions are quite the word. These are choice questions. I'll have to say.
These
To
are
answer
not
that
mine.
question, these are choice questions to be chosen. You know,
Critics
be
of
chosen.
yours have suggested that prior to this...
I was going to answer it. I was going to answer it. Honestly, I haven't left Noosa. I've been in Noosa this entire time, and yes, I've been in the background, just sitting there talking to folks. But if you see my messages, I've said hello Noosa on many days. I at least try my best to chat in the server. That's about it. I mean, critics can say what they want to say. That's just what it
I
is.
jump in as a critic. Okay.
What?
I am going to tell you that saying hello, Noosa, once every 2 days does not give you the right to be president, and that's not the activity that's needed. You also never showed up to a Senate session. That's what they're talking about when they say inactivity.
I thought
can
John
go in there and say
Cassidy
hello,
was
Noosa.
okay.
I do. I say good morning every day. And guess what? Guess what? I'm still there.
I don't
For the
really,
rest of the day, I show up more than 15 minutes a
really give a
day.
damn what you're saying, to be honest with you. Okay, you just want a
You
chance to
speaking over me does not make your opinion more valid. You're inactive.
Towards me. The question was towards me, T. Okay, let's
No,
recognize that.
I
You wanted a chance to
actually
get on
came in
stage
there as a
and yap.
critic.
You want to get on stage and just yap, and I don't really care for that. Okay, it's already been
That's
past
what a
40
debate
minutes.
is.
It's been past 40 minutes. Okay, as
Oh,
I was,
I also forgot to mention, you
as I
were the
was
guy that was supposed to save us from George, yet you lost to Mimes the Best in the Pioneer National Committee race.
I mean, come
You
on now.
lost to
Exactly,
Mimes
once
the
again,
Best in the
here's the
PNC
thing,
race, but you're supposed to save us.
you don't know when to shut up, honestly. That's the thing. That's what folks don't
Dude,
like. You get on stage, you get in voice calls, and you just yap. You say nothing of use, okay?
how many times you
Stop
said
talking.
yap? Like it's old.
Stop talking. Let me answer the question. Stop talking, okay?
What's the
I'm talking.
question?
Thank you, John. Can you ask the question again? Because
You said that you had to answer the question. What was the question?
listen, the question to me was why my critics see me as inactive. I'm going to answer
And
that
I
question.
came in there as a critic to tell you
I
why.
don't know what you're saying, okay? The question was towards me. All right.
Yes, and then it sort of came to me after you answered.
As I was saying, my critics say what they want to say, but I'm still here in Noosa, right? I haven't left. I haven't gone somewhere else. I know when to shut the fuck up. Okay, excuse my language.
I know
Which
Trade
is
is
24 hours a
just.
day.
I know Trade is just standing by. There are no questions directed to you, I'm afraid. So there's a question directed to T though. Quote: Why are you dodging? Sorry. Why are you dodging Alex J. Cabot, whatever. Cabot. I don't know how to say it.
Dude, Cabot is scared. He keeps DMing me. He doesn't want to debate, even though he has this group chat set up to debate. I think it's because he's maybe self-conscious of his little British voice. I'm not sure. But he won't debate with me. I do miss him dearly, and I wish him the best, though.
Okay, a statement from the Forward National Committee. We do not recognize Sheev as a member of the Forward Party. He is the House Minority Leader and an independent. I'd like to clear that on air, and the Forward Party actively fights against this bill. This is
He's
from
Senate Minority Leader.
this was from earlier. Speaker Chen has repeatedly said that if Apollo Corman is elected, he will impeach on day one for importing votes from Italy. Apollo, what is your response?
Like I said, Arthur Chen is a clown. Okay, he's Diddy. Okay, he's Diddy. Okay, no, I don't really care for Arthur Chen's opinion. Next question.
Okay, we actually have a question for Trade NATO. Congratulations. You have a question. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. Where's the question? How are you going to help with bipartisan relations?
This is a good question here. I think using my current reach would be kind of my best bet here. I talk with people in both parties. I don't really see myself having a lot of enemies on both sides here. So I think it really is just about bringing people together here. Obviously, I mentioned this earlier, but I did run as an independent originally for Senate. So I kind of like to try to take both sides' perspectives kind of into consideration when I make decisions and make kind of votes on things. So I think kind of just continuing with what I'm doing right now is going to be the best bet to kind of bring these two parties together.
Another question for you. What have you done as a senator thus far? And if none, what guarantees us that you will do anything as president?
Well, as a senator, I've gotten banned from DC, but that's irrelevant here. As a senator, I've tried to lead as many meetings as I can. I've talked to a lot of people in the background about trying to push things in the right direction. It's been kind of a new thing for me because I've been here since 2015, but I've never really been involved in the politics side of it. So it's been kind of cool to kind of see the background stuff, how that happens, and talking with people to kind of understand people's perspectives on things before voting.
Have you proposed any bills or resolution as a senator at all?
I have not so far, now.
Why is that?
I personally, I haven't had anything that I've felt strongly enough that I wanted to write and put into motion here.
So how would that affect you as the president?
I think with the influence.
Someone please.
Sorry, were you saying something, Apollo?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't.
Oh, sorry.
We're almost
sorry. Could you repeat that, John?
We're almost done. Because I want to wrap this up before the House session. You said you didn't propose any bills or resolution. You said why,
Correct.
and then How would this affect you as the president, knowing that you haven't proposed anything in your time as a senator?
Yes, I'd say overall my writing skills aren't the best. I think as a president, I do have a lot more kind of authority and power there. So if there's a bill that I want to kind of get pushed, I can talk to the right people to kind of help facilitate things there. So, what I'm really looking for is, I guess my policy here is going to be trying to push as much activity in DC as possible. And
And you're
so,
gone.
all right, fair.
Okay. A couple more questions, and then we get to go to closing statements. Apollo Corman. Someone asked if you can about your voting record in Congress because they can't seem to find it.
You know what's so funny? Folks are harking on this one term. Like I said before, I was removed on August 19th. That's the moment. Before that, I went to many sessions, most certainly. After August 19th, no, I didn't take the Senate serious no more. I was removed by the VP. Okay, but also I've served 8 other terms in the Senate before as a whole in this community. I mean, my history is long, well tracked. I mean, I mean, can I ask this?
Go ahead.
Voting history on what? What voting history do they want to see? What issues?
Your activity?
My stances. Come on now.
You haven't voted at all. That's the absence of your voting
I
history.
just told you actually. Well, I mean, first and
So
foremost, I
you
voted.
gave up when it got tough. When an opposition rose, you gave up and left.
That you moved me from, right? I voted there, right? Okay, thank you. My point
I
stands.
didn't hear what you
The
said.
moment
It
that
was
I
too
was
irrelevant.
removed from the Senate, I took it so unserious. So if folks want to know my voting history, I ask on what issues. Most certainly talk to my
On
DMs are open.
anything. Did you go to a session?
I just
No.
told you I went to many sessions beforehand. I was at the session that you moved me from. I'm not. Why don't you understand? I'm quite confused. What are you not understanding? I went to
I
these sessions.
think that you're
Y'all can
totally.
call me absent Apollo.
You're not even
Inactive Apollo. Who gives a damn? Okay. Once again, this question was towards me. I know you love yapping, but I don't want to hear your voice. It's quite annoying, honestly. All right,
Another
John. That's my answer.
Another question. Someone is asking why you're banning people from your campaign server for asking questions that you don't like. I don't write these questions.
Yeah, I know who that's questions from. You don't write these questions, John, but you sure do like to ask them. You do like to ask them.
That's his job.
Well, I mean, these questions aren't helping nobody. Okay, I mean, they're not really helping. My answer is this. Okay, uh, being in my server is a privilege. Okay, most certainly, being a part of my campaign server is a privilege. I have every right to kick you out if you're just going to troll. If you don't support us, which this person who asked that question doesn't support me, uh, obviously so. If you don't be there just to troll, I don't really give a damn, to be honest, because you're causing chaos and discord. Okay.
Okay, cool. Now we have a question for everyone. Let me see if I can find it. 2 more questions. Where did that question
John, real
go?
quick, do you mind bringing me back into the studio here?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
What's your name again?
Trade.
Okay.
Could you also
R6
R6 me so I
Yes.
don't look like a
Yes.
goof?
Okay. Where did
Thank
I
you.
put that question? Okay, there it is. What are your thoughts on the current activity of the Department of Homeland Security, specifically the Secret Service and Federal Protective Service? And if you were elected, what would you change? Anyone can go. Pretty much, what do you think about the Department of Homeland Security, the Secret Service, and FPS, and what would you change?
I'm sorry. Who's director to? I'm sorry.
Everyone.
Oh, you say my feeling, my views about what the
The
Department
Department of
Security?
Homeland Security, specifically the Secret Service, and what was that other thing called again?
Yes.
FPS. And what would you do? What would you change if elected?
For one, like I said, I plan on increasing 200% in employment for the Department of Homeland Security, over 200%. Most certainly, yes. If you see right now, the group has 18 members in it. Okay, it has 18 employees in the actual department. As president, we're going to focus on DHS being a primary law enforcement department, like it used to be. As far as FPS goes, we're also going to use FPS to protect federal buildings. We're going to actually give them purpose too, most certainly. And when it comes to Secret Service, the current leadership is doing great. I don't really have a quarrel with them. They're active, they're doing their jobs. You know, that's one thing about my policy is that if you do your job, if you're competent, why replace you? You know.
T.
Yeah, dude, where have you been? HLS does not act as an agency anymore. It's just a department. The whole goal is that we're getting rid of redundancy in NUSA, and HLS was not an agency dedicated towards anything specific. So HLS agents were transferred to FPS. That's why the group has 18 people. Glad I could inform you on that. Now, FPS, we have seen new leadership come in who has well, one, we've passed a bill that gives FPS the right to protect Congress again, which has helped with their activity and motivation as an agency. And SS also consistently does well. We see around 5 to 10 people on per detail just at a random time, like a not scheduled event.
Like trade. Go. I forgot to get
Sure.
you.
Yeah. On SS specifically, I mean, it's no surprise here, but I do often clash with SS. And one thing from my clashes I've kind of come to realize is I do think that SS needs to kind of get back into its specialization. I think that's, incorporating an academy of sorts would be good. Code Lancer's done great as a director overall, but I do think that the quality of SS agents has kind of fallen with time. So I do think that some kind of introduction is kind of needed here so that, the quality doesn't fall off, because I do think that, overall as kind of a organization there, that they do need to kind of work on that a bit more.
There's this one topic we haven't talked about was the economy. DoCal is inactive. So really quickly before we get to our very last question, what would you do about DoCal?
I wouldn't say DoCal's inactive.
It's inactive.
We have seen the rise of media. Please don't echo. I can't. Thanks. We've seen the rise of media organizations throughout this term. If you look in the community news now, you have tons of new media people coming out there. So DoCal is not inactive. We also have worked with GMs to create those businesses that you see around the map, which are going to be purchasable for people to have your business set up at DC. You can set up the interior and you can make it your own, and you can sell your items through there. So we have that going, and we also have the Department of the Treasury who wants to implement an ATM robbing sequence in the game, which would be really fun. So Treasury economy, I wouldn't say they're inactive.
Yet, a follow-up on this really quickly. I mean, they're just doing news agencies, and you say DoCal's active just by having news agencies being processed every once in a while. How is that showing an active DoCal when they're supposed to be doing other businesses too?
Mm-hmm. That was a concern. I asked my DoCal secretary, I was like, what media or what organizations are registering within DoCal? And it was primarily media, which, okay, that's expected. But I think with this resurgence of actual business place in DC for people to set up, so you can have your clothing business, you can have your security firms, actually have a spot in DC, I think it's going to completely change the game.
We're running out of time, so we got to shorten this up. I'm so sorry.
Okay, wait. We also, on the way, is the DoCal Job Fair Center, which we haven't had a new one since 2018, and we have Oath of Office developer Jack Jennings helping us create a new job fair, and it's done. He's just finishing the last scripting parts of it, so that's really going to help out our private businesses as well.
Apollo, go.
Yeah, for sure. Business and labor is a special topic for me in NUSA. As former secretary of that department, when I ran it, it was great activity, under Tim Geithner. What I would do as president are a couple of things here. One, we're going to give subsidies out to businesses, especially small businesses. We're going to incentivize them to come to NUSA, bring the business here, bring the player base here, to increase activity at DC. Not only that, but also to increase chances with private sector jobs and opportunities. As far as labor goes, I'm going to get rid of the NELA, most certainly, yes. And I'm going to give the power.
That's not DoCal.
That's a part of labor. Okay, thank you very much.
Please,
No,
we gotta
not
get
DoCal.
the trade.
Here, just yapping.
It's a
Yeah,
court system.
we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to put in sorry, give me 1 second here.
Well, we got to get the trade, and I wanted another question to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. My roommate just was asking me a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Sorry. Okay, you're done? Trade, go
Yes.
very quickly.
Yeah, sure. So I know, T talked about Dockle and being able to introduce new businesses there. That's great. But I kind of want to talk on a different topic of the economy. I want to talk about the in-game economy. Now, everybody knows that the current best system for making money in-game is robbing the White House. And obviously,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of off-team crime where people are going in and
sometimes.
robbing because agencies literally are unable to make enough money on
Okay.
team to be able to
What's up?
finance themselves. So I do think one
That's
big
fine.
thing that I'll be pushing for is a rebalance of the actual in-game,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
DC money economy, and trying to push for changes where it'll actually be incentivized, where you want to rob the bank and you want to do these different DC activities versus just what kind of the meta is right now.
Very quickly, before we get to closing arguments, say something nice about each other, please. Anyone, please.
Sure, I could start us off. I mean, I think both campaigns overall, everybody's done great here. I think T's done well in office, and I think Apollo definitely has shown himself to be a very good candidate here. Obviously, both of them have very big support groups, so props to both of you.
Okay.
I
Um,
oh,
no, go ahead. Jesus, go ahead.
I think Trade is a super cool dude. I mean, we have a great Wall Street ex EO POTUS relationship, and Trade in the Senate too. I totally congratulate him on being a first-time senator and taking up PPT and actually doing it well. Nice. Like I could never do that. I could never. So I appreciate your work in the Senate there. And Apollo, I like that you brought activity back to the political field when you ran for president. I I didn't really have an opposition or a loud opposition for a second, and then you kind of sparked that.
Apollo, go quickly because we're a
Yeah,
minute.
no. First and foremost, Trade is a really cool guy. Actually, if I wasn't running, I would definitely support Trade. Cool guy. Unfortunately, I am running, and I told my supporters that I won't be dropping out. I'm keeping up my word there too. T Soups. Um, yeah, you've been a nice
Yo, you can't steal my line
you
because I
you
actually had to think.
you're definitely active. Okay, okay, you're definitely active.
You're not
That's
funny.
all, John.
Okay, closing statements time. You get a minute, and I'm so sorry for cutting into the Senate's time. Trade, since you've been largely ignored throughout the session, throughout the debate, you get to go first. Go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, closing statements here. I just want to kind of introduce myself to everybody that doesn't know me. I used to go by the Rage King 22. I joined in 2015. I've been kind of around for a while now, off and on, obviously, as time happens. But my goals in the presidency is to really bring back activity to DC specifically, but NUSA as a whole. A lot of my kind of policies that I'm aiming for is to kind of balance the crime versus law enforcement activity that has been, NUSA for all of eternity. I know some people are trying to push, more of the political stuff, but I really do want that kind of baseline activity level to be a lot higher. I do miss the days where Las Vegas used to pull 2 servers constantly. So, as a whole, I look forward to talking with more of you after this debate. And thank you guys for listening to me today.
Okay, T, go.
Well, firstly, I want to thank you, John, and FTN News for hosting this. It's been really fun. It's been great. And thanks to everyone listening in and the American people who did trust me to lead this nation for the past 3 months. It's been an honor. It's been an honor, and I am asking that you once again place your trust in me to continue leading you for 4 more months. I think we've seen so many highlights in NUSA, the resurgence of realism, activity, and foreign policy, military, intelligence community. So if we want to continue on this path, I ask you all once again to trust me with another term. Thank you. Amen. God bless.
Apollo, you get the last word.
For sure, for sure. Like I said, I want to thank John. Thank you, John. Thank you, FTN. I also want to thank T Soups and Trade as well for being here. I think this debate has been pretty all right. It's been a pretty cool hour for Saturday night. I'm sorry. Honestly, like I said, I'm running to give a voice to those that that don't feel represented by this administration. I'm running for a voice for those that have been snaked, that has been manipulated. I'm running for those that have been ignored. That's my platform. I'm simply running to get Noosa back on track. And if I'm the face of opposition, then so be it. But that's my closing argument. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to thank all of you 3 candidates personally. I know we've had a little argument over when we were supposed to do this, how long, but I appreciate y'all cooperating. and showing up. The election, when is this election again?
It's
November
on
8th.
the 8th.
The election is on November 8th. Please go ahead. Please go and vote. No matter who you're voting for, your vote is important. If you can, also vote in the November 5th election this Tuesday. Special thanks to MadDog306, I believe that's his username, for designing this set. It was really incredible. And thank you to the Noosa GMs for allowing us to have this space. The House will be convening very shortly, and I believe Apollo will be having an interview very shortly with the American Times. Thank you very much for joining us for this FTN News Debate. If any other organization wants to join us in the future, please feel free to contact me. But for now, I'm John of Doom. Good night.
Thank you.